To be honest with you, I was very skeptical. There's no way, I could walk in one day and have this done within 24 hours and be okay. We all have dental fears from, previous dentist visits. I didn't know what to expect.
If fear of pain is one thing holding you back from getting full mouth dental implants, Bishop had that same fear, but he got it done over 3 years ago, and today he's walking us through what his pain experience was actually like and whether he believes it was worth going through. You ready to dive in, Bishop?
I am so ready for this.
Before you actually got this done, did the fear of pain ever make you hesitate or almost not move forward with it?
I'll say yes and no to that question. And I say that because I was already in pain, just from going through years of failed dental experiments, I like to call them. Every time I had a toothache, for whatever reason, um, I would get treated with what one of my friends, Duncan, actually calls as the Band-Aid approach. And so their only remedy was let's pull the tooth, let's pull the tooth. And so of course they would go in and they would pull the tooth. And then within a few, I would feel better, but within a few months, the pain would move to another tooth or to another side of my mouth. And so it just started getting progressively worse. I went for years already in pain. And so once I discovered and found Nuvia and knew that I had the option to get something done and corrected within a 24-hour period, I can't say that the fear of that particular type of pain moved me one way or the other because at that point it was more about getting a solution.
Absolutely. So you were like, yeah, I'm trying to actually avoid the pain I'm already in. So I might
Exactly.
as well try to take the leap here and hopefully extinguish that pain moving forward.
Exactly.
Wow. So whenever you decided, hey, I'm going to go to this place, you said they get it done in 24 hours. What were you kind of expecting it to feel like? Like, what fears maybe did you have though once you decided, hey, I still need to get this done?
Oh wow. I to be honest with you, I was very skeptical. Very skeptical. I'm like, there's no way, I could, walk in one day and have this done within 24 hours and be okay. So that was the major fear. The major fear was that I was, somehow being scammed or that there was going to be, more um added to it or, something, you know, between the lines where this was concerned. And to my pleasant surprise, that was not the case at all.
Wow. So what else besides maybe the way that Nuvi was doing their procedure, what else made you feel comfortable even going forward with them?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I felt comfortable once I made and scheduled my free consultation. I was skeptical all the way until I walked in the door. I don't know what it was that made me click on that link that came across my social media feed, but if I'm being honest with you, I had spent so many years in pain and was looking for a solution, and I did a little bit of research and checked out some of the companies that were offering different solutions to dental pain. And once I found Nuvia and clicked on and I took the 60-second quiz, um, and they called me back within, like, I think 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours. I got a phone call from my local Nuvia office saying, "Hey, we saw that you took our quiz. Why don't you come in for your free consultation?" And I went ahead and scheduled it. I put down a small deposit, but that was just to hold my appointment. And as skeptical as I was, I said, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? Let me at least go in. And as soon as I walked through the door, "Hi, Mr. Johnson." I'm like, okay. How do you know it's me? You guys. And no, I literally I walked in and they called me by my name. As soon as I walked through the door, I was greeted with a smile and I instantly just felt like a sense of relief. And, so sitting there not knowing what's gonna happen while I'm in the office, not knowing what's gonna happen or what's gonna take place when I get behind these closed doors, was a little nerve-wracking, but with each passing minute, they made it seem a little bit more, they made me feel more comfortable, I'll say.
Wow.
It started all of my fears and anxieties just literally started to melt away as soon as I walked through the door and they called me by my name and greeted me with a smile.
That's incredible. Because I mean, yeah, I can imagine after years and years of maybe going to the dentist, maybe not having the best experiences, and then walking into a place that made you feel comfortable and at ease, especially when you are in such amount of pain. Like, that's pretty incredible. That goes a long way, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
I mastered the art of working through pain. So, um, to find out that there's a company out there that would potentially eliminate and alleviate all those years of pain, all those years of having to go to work with a toothache, but not show it, you know what I mean? Within a 24-hour period was an absolute game changer. And so I'm so glad that I made the decision.
Absolutely. Well, I know people might also think, "Hey, this procedure, it is so quick and, you're getting your permanent teeth so quickly after surgery." Still might, worry about, "Hey, is this gonna be a painful procedure?" Right? So, let's
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about the reality of what actually happened with you. So, let's talk about surgery day first. What do you remember feeling? Were you put to sleep? Walk me through that.
I remember feeling nervous. Once I went into the room, I sat down. I was greeted by, I believe we have the actual doctor. There was the nurses, a certified CNA or an RNA, one of the
CRNA,
NAs. It's
CRNA, yeah.
CRNA. There we are. And there was a host of people in the room. It wasn't just one person or two people. There was literally an entire team of people in the room with me, and this was just to kind of, I guess, talk me off the ledge as I'm preparing for surgery. But they made the whole experience, like, so comfortable. I didn't even realize, okay, I knew, yeah, we're gonna put you to sleep during this procedure. It's only gonna last, a couple hours. It shouldn't take long for this, and this is what you're and they stayed communicative with me the entire time. I felt comfortable. I went into the room. I sat down on the little bed chair thing, and before I knew it, they're like, "Okay, we'll count backwards." I don't even remember the countdown. I do remember waking up, and, it happened like that, you know? I felt so comfortable with the whole process, and by the time I woke up, they're like, "Alright, we'll see you tomorrow." You know? And I'm like, "Well, what just happened? What did I miss?" You know? And they actually they explained to me, what it is they did, and I was able to, go to. I had an ice pack bandaged around my head and everything like that. And of course, my mouth was all full of gauze and everything like that. So I could tell something had been done, but I just it seemed like one of those quick little cat naps, when you're sitting at the red light and you just kind of catch yourself dozing off. Like that's what it felt like to me. It felt like, I literally can feel myself dozing off, but no, let me wake up. And on that wake up, everything was done. And so, that was amazing. That was an absolute amazing feeling, and, I walked out of the office, my friend had been sitting in the lobby waiting for me, and, we got in the car, I went home and followed my doctor's instructions. The very next
Wow.
day, I was on my way back, so, yeah, it was an amazing experience.
So, whenever you did wake up and you went home, I guess how were you feeling? Did you feel much going on in your mouth up until, like, the next day? What was going on, like, pain-wise? Was
Um,
there any pain or discomfort?
I did feel different once I woke up and was, on the car ride home, and if I'm being completely honest with you, for me, it wasn't really pain. I was not in any pain at all. I could tell that something had been done inside my mouth, outside of my head being bandaged and a mouthful of gauze. It didn't really feel like pain at all, so much as maybe a slight discomfort. But I was more so excited about the fact that, okay, we're doing this. You know what I mean? I'm dead smack in the middle of a lifetime transformation that I've been wanting for so long. Now I'm on my way home. I just had this surgery done. I get my new teeth 24 hours later. Like, I was so excited, probably even giddy about the entire process at this point. So, like, at this point, I couldn't wait. I'm like, okay, let's get home. Let's take this medication. Let's grab something to eat and try to get some sleep because tomorrow I'm going to get to do this. You know? And it was the best feeling, hands down, from start to finish. It was the absolute best feeling. I mean, I think I was more excited. I think I was a little too excited about the process to even notice any discomfort at all. So that
Wow.
was huge. That was
That's
huge.
incredible. So, whenever you did go back in the next day and you
Mhm.
got your permanent teeth on, what did that feel like? I'm sure people are wondering about that part of it.
It was amazing. By the time I walked back in the next day, I went back by myself. the next day. And I had already kind of developed a little repertoire with some of the staff in the office. And for me, I'm a little bit of a fashionista or whatever they call it. And so I walked in wearing my finest Beyonce Adidas outfit, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
kind of tease with the staff a little bit, but they're like, all right, well, are you ready? Are you ready? And they created this whole for me it was a little mini production because they call it a smile reveal. And so they walked me back, they prepped me, they brought out my teeth, they let me see what they look like, and then they just put them in and tweaked them in. And even during that process, there was no pain whatsoever. It didn't feel like a typical dentist visit. It just felt like, okay, well, you're getting your teeth put in, you know what I mean? And so they put them in and they tested my bite and they had me saying different things and moving my mouth and they looked around and they, did more pictures and, and they really took the time to make sure that like my bite was perfect, my smile was perfect, that everything was lined up and everything like that. And it was amazing. I felt great about the entire process. And
Wow.
before I walked out that office, like they asked me every question they could think of and said, well, if you are feeling anything or, if anything changes, if you notice anything, don't hesitate to call us back. Let us know what you're feeling. We'll make it right. We'll get you to go. And so that whole process from start to finish was just absolutely amazing. It was a game changer. I went years in true pain, because of, one toothache over here, one toothache over here, toothache over here at the same time. And so to be able to know that I walked into this office yesterday, they put me to sleep. I'm back today to get my new teeth and to get my new smile, my Nuvia smile, my permanent. These are permanent. These are the teeth. Can you see that? These are the teeth they put into my mouth day one, you know? And that was that
Mhm.
was that was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I was so impressed with the entire process. I was so impressed with how they made me feel when I walked through the door. I was so impressed with the amount of discomfort that I experienced. Some people experience bruising and swelling, which is normal. And for me, I didn't so much bruise. The bruising was a very minimal amount, but I did experience some swelling. And of course, that's to be expected. I just had a major oral surgery done, but I followed my doctor's instructions to the letter. And the swelling dissipated almost immediately after surgery, within the first couple days. If I had to do it all over again, I would.
That
Hands
says
down,
a
hands
lot.
down. If I had to do it all over again, I would.
Wow. So, the pain that you maybe initially expected from doing all this, was it anything compared to, like, what actually happened?
I expected to I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that I was going in for dental implants. And of course, we all have dental fears from, previous dentist visits. I don't know anyone that just likes going to the dentist. If you've ever had a tooth extracted, it can seem a little, they don't put you to sleep for that. You know what I mean? They numb you up a little bit, and then next thing you know, someone's wrenching into your mouth and snatching on it, and you can feel it. You know what I mean? And then once that tooth comes out, it's instant pain alleviation and you're like, oh, okay, all right, cool. Now I feel better. Until a few months later when the pain resurfaces over here now, you know what I mean? And so with with Nubia, I was more nervous and anxious about the entire experience than I should have been because it really was nothing. It really went by like that. I went in, knocked out, woke up, and it's like, oh, okay, that's it. Like, have you guys gotten started yet? Like, what are we gonna do? What are we doing? And they're like, you're ready to go. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh wow, okay. Head bandage, mouth full of gauze, made it home. Well, made it to the grocery store and to the pharmacy and made it home. Chilled out for a few hours. Was actually surprisingly able to get a little bit of sleep that night. You know what I mean? But I think that was more so my nerves and the anxiety of it all because I'm dead smack in the middle of getting my life changed. I'm dead smack in the middle of getting a brand new smile, permanent teeth, and I never have to worry about another toothache again. So all of those thoughts went through my head that first night after surgery. My brain was just on overload. Fast forward the next day, I'm in there, I get my smile installed, I get my smile put in, and they handed me this little handheld mirror. It was facing the opposite direction, And, I had, all it seemed like the entire office was in the room with me. I had my CRNA, I had the doctor, I had, a couple of members from the office, my smile consultant, like everyone was in the room. And they're like, okay, three, two, one. And I flipped that mirror around. It took everything in me not to become overly emotional and, to do I combat, my emotions with comedy oftentimes. I'm a Leo. I'm a natural born jokester. And so I was so taken aback by the way my teeth looked and to see myself smiling. I hadn't smiled like that since I was a teenager. And so, here I am. I'm going to be 50 next year. And, at the age of 46, 47, and I'm just now getting my teeth done to be able to see myself from the eyes of that teenager with a full set of teeth, a brand new beautiful smile. That was like amazing. And so I said, "Oh wow. I'm gonna have to fight him off with a stick now." You know what I mean? Like it was just I felt instantly like it was once I flipped that mirror around, like I felt the years just kind of melt off of my face. I felt like I looked better. I felt better. I couldn't stop, even on the car ride home. By this time I'm by myself, so I'm driving home. But every chance I got to stop and pull that little visor down and look at myself in the mirror, or even in the rear view, here I am driving and I'm like, in the rear view mirror, just, it was amazing. And so when I got home, the first thing I did was come in the house and wash my hands and stare at myself in the mirror. Like I could not get over it. It was the best feeling in the world.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine, and I'm sure it was, like, a long time coming, right? And it's finally happening for you, and it's like I can't even a lot of emotions and feelings I'm sure you were experiencing at that
Of
time.
course, of course. There's no way you could imagine. I mean, if you I'd say it was easily at least 10 years of going through dental pain and having my teeth extracted one by one. At least easy 10 years over the course of maybe two jobs or something like that. And it literally, all of the stars aligned. It literally just worked out that, okay, well, I've got my 5-day break in service. So I'll schedule my surgery for that first day. And then I'll get my teeth that second day. And then that gave me 3 days to kind of recover before it was still time for me to go back to work. I think it happened to fall, like, towards the weekend, so I actually ended up getting another day or so, for about 4 days or so to just kinda rest and kinda settle into the fact that now I had my new smile. That was amazing because by the time I went back to work, you know, a week later, people started noticing, "Hey, there's something different about you." I told no one except the friend that actually took me to my surgery day appointment. I told no one that I was having this done. No one, not even my mom. And to go back to work after being gone for a whole week as a new employee and have so many people, looking at me with a side eye and trying to figure out what's going on. And of course, I'm a few days in, most of the swelling has dissipated, and I'm walking around, smiling for no reason at this point, you know what I mean? And everyone's like, "Did you get a haircut? Like, what am I missing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. I'm not wearing my hat today, so that's why I look different." It I had a lot of fun teasing them with that. But slowly but surely I started getting a little bit more comfortable.
Wow, okay, so you had this 5 days, off of work. That's when you got all this done and you're starting to
Mhm,
recover. How
mhm.
long did, recovery last, for you? Like, when did you start to feel, I guess, kind of like, "Alright, I'm good to go?"
So healing is different for everyone, you know what I mean? And so everyone's pain journey, everyone's experience is going to be a little different. But for me, I noticed that the swelling started to dissipate within the first few days. I say maybe after surgery, I think day two and day three were kind of the end of the worst for me. You know what I mean? And that's that after about maybe 2 or 3 days, I noticed that my face started to dissipate. I still was using my ice pack and um, you know, treating myself to popsicles, you know what I mean? Anything just to get that sensation down. And I was given a prescription. For me, I enjoy Motrin or ibuprofen or whatever. So that because it's an anti-inflammatory, it's a pain reliever. So if there was any pain, which I really didn't experience at all, it would help with that. But as far as the anti-inflammatory, it helped out tremendously. So I would make sure I would eat something, and then I would take my ibuprofen 800, and then I would treat myself to a popsicle or something like that. Lay it down, go to sleep. Within the first 2 to 3 days, all of the swelling had kind of started to dissipate. All of the discomfort has started trying to dissipate. And so at that point, now I'm working on my speech and practicing my tongue twisters and, trying to put these babies to the limit and see if can I whistle? You know what I mean? Does it hurt to smile? Do I need to, practice this? And I'm experimenting, and playing with my face and, in the mirror, just, having fun and stuff like that. And, it was only just a few short days for me, just to kind of feel and really notice that difference, which was why that 5-day break-in service was so important to me because by the time I went back to work, 4 days after surgery, I felt great. I felt normal. I'm a mail handler, so I'm in the mail truck all day, for 8 to 10 hours, and I'm interacting with people. But to be able to pull up to that curb line and get ready to put the mail in the box or take a package to a customer and they, greet you, and I can greet you back with a smile now and talk to you without having to cover my face, that was the game changer. So it literally only took a few days for the swelling and the discomfort to kind of dissipate, but it was still important for me to follow the doctor's instructions until I didn't have to anymore.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, that's pretty incredible when you're going through a procedure like that. And does it seem like it took that long for you to kind of get back to normal as it seems?
It didn't. No, it didn't take that long at all. Like I thought, okay, dental implants, all right, we'll go in for surgery. I just knew that it was going to be months of repeated visits and going back and forth, but it wasn't like that at all. I had, a couple of visits, immediately after surgery. I had a couple of visits and that was so they can check my bite and follow up and make sure everything's healing like it's supposed to be. And by the time I went in for my 4 months, and the doctor said, "Okay, well, you're looking good. You've been doing everything you're supposed to do, and, you've been keeping your gum line clean and using the water flosser and the water pick, and so let's go ahead and clear you cleared to eat whatever you want."
Yeah.
That's what it's all about right there.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Well, before we move on to these last few questions, Bishop, I know a lot of
Mhm.
people I'm sure are wondering, well, how much does something like this cost? So what would you say to that?
The cost actually it does vary. From patient to patient. But I know that there is a cost guide available with Nuvia to answer many of your questions. So I do encourage you to uh, click on the link and check out that cost guide. You'll have a lot of your questions answered. And then, of course, schedule your free consultation and go in and let someone talk to you and let you know what your options are from there.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's great advice. I do
Yeah.
now want to know, Bishop, one of the reasons you got this done is because you were in a lot of pain beforehand, and that's what you're looking to extinguish by getting this done, right? So
Yeah.
out now that it's been, over 3 years with your new smile, have you like experienced much pain or discomfort since then, or how has that been?
Honestly, you can't tell me that I wasn't born with these. They absolutely like I can't feel them at all. I can't it just they feel like my teeth. They feel like natural teeth. They look like natural teeth. I can't necessarily they don't they don't come out, they don't move. You know what I mean? There's absolutely uh no difference in how I feel now versus how I felt as a teen with a full set of teeth. You know what I mean? Now, all of those years in between, all those years in between, completely different story. Just having teeth extracted one by one over a course of years and going through so many years of being in pain and experiencing sleepless nights and, not being able to enjoy conversations with friends or, going out and just being, social and eating in public and stuff like that, or even being able to talk to you, without having to cover my mouth or, I would talk with my head down and stuff. If you went back and looked at my social media page, many of my earlier pictures all have me doing this little smirk. So to be able to go back and revisit some of those moments and actually do it with a full smile, it's been an absolute game changer. You'll hear me say that word a lot, game changer, because that's my word for 2026 is game changer. Nuvia absolutely is a game changer. And my experience with Nuvia has just been the best. Um, I encourage anyone who is within earshot of my voice to go and see for yourself. You know, schedule your free consultation, take your 60-second quiz, schedule your free consultation, and go in and let someone look at you and tell you what your options are and how they can best assist you. Because they did it for me, and I couldn't be happier. You can't tell me that I wasn't born with these at all because I don't feel any different now than I did as a teenager. And so if you're hearing this and you're thinking about getting it done, by all means, what are you waiting for? You owe it to yourself to be the best version of yourself. Go and get your life back. Please, please go. Get your life back, get your smile back, and you're gonna be glad you did.
Wow. Well, I think that is some amazing advice, Bishop. So thank you for sharing that with us. And if you are watching and you're curious about the cost, again, what this could look like for you, don't forget to check out that cost guide that Bishop mentioned earlier. You can find it in the description below. And until next time,
Keep smiling.